So, hey everyone, welcome back to another quickly made video. This will likely be the format of all the videos in the coming future because August will just be a really busy month Patlabor wise. I wanted to get the other videos out, but I've been distracted by other stuff like Easy. Don't worry, the stills will come back if you were a fan of them. As you can tell by the title, this video will be dedicated to Patlabor The Case Files, a brand new Patlabor game on the horizon, likely coming out at the end of August. In my previous video, I talked about Case Files and its first and initial trailer and what may come of it. Well, look who was mostly right on the money. I'd say my video aged pretty well. As of right now, there are 2 more trailers for Case Files and 4 more Dengeki hobby articles written up. Got a little surprised at the end with the last one. Keep watching, I promise it'll surprise you. So we'll just go in chronological order here. Sometime after the first preview, we got a second one that was largely similar to the first. The first shot with the Ingram in the city, and we can see updates to the UI. The labor and weapon UI being changed from squares to circle. The energy and HP were changed as well, and the time limit was also moved up to the top of the screen. In the next scene, we actually see the economy Ingram blocking Unit 2's head after the Griffin ripped it off and threw it. Then we see actual combat between the economy Ingram and the Griffin in the game. The economy Ingram actually parries an attack, as seen earlier in this trailer and the other ones. The next scene we see the same art clip from the first trailer, but it has updated lighting from the original, which does look better and, along with the UI update, shows they're trying to update the game as they go on here. After that is this really nice cutscene between the Ingram and the Zero. I think the visuals were really great here in comparison to the other shots. And, shockingly enough, we get to use the Hellhound to attack Tokyo as seen in Patlabor 2. That's something I did not predict, but I welcome wholeheartedly. We see a shot of Unit 3, the Castle Gate battle, some target practice, and a section of the game where you control the Zero, controlled by Haas of course. By the way, they made him white. More on that later. In this trailer they state that it'll release in summer of 2026. We kind of already know it'll release August 31st, it is what it is. The second trailer was interesting because, as stated before, there are clear visual updates to the game. I'm not a game developer, so I can't quite ascertain what that entails for development, but by this point that was months ago. My thoughts on this trailer will tie into my thoughts on Case Files as a whole, so I'll say that for later. As for the White Griffin, it's actually having a real-life model kit that comes with a special edition of the game, along with the game's soundtrack. The soundtrack including 30 songs, the opening and ending being done by Kenji Kawai himself. After trailer 2, we weren't left with much. There was this thing called Good Small Fest where they were talking about upcoming games, and Case Files was one of them. Despite that, they only really talked about the information we already knew. They did the whole rapid development hyper-technology and basically read the game's description verbatim. It wouldn't be until June 30th where we got trailer number 3. This one was pretty interesting because it opens up with a lot of cutscenes based on moments from TV and the movies. This one here being the tournament battle between Noah and Kaneka, which was pretty well animated. And here, would you look at that? That's a character still. Like I suggested they would do in my last video, that's what they're going with. Maybe it was an obvious guess, but it was my guess anyways. I'm the one guy digging deep on this game to this level. During this battle with the Brocken, we actually see a QTE which allows you to throw the Brocken off you, just like what happens in the episode. By the way, yes, there does appear to be voice acting, but we can't hear any of it yet. We see more side missions where he plays the antagonists, including the Griffin and the Zero, but not just them, but the HAL X-10, another labor I called being in the game. We also do get to destroy the Section 2 building as the Hellhound, fun times all around. We see more simulator mode stuff with different environments, the Red Brocken and the USA Ingrams, which I also called, and they're fighting each other alongside you. You can probably set the parameters and the limits of this mode. Also, given that this car is smoldering, we can see property damage as possible. Oh yeah, by the way, you can perfect dodge too. More scenes go by, we actually see the Phantom's beam cannon nearly hit the Helldivers here, meaning it could very well appear in the game too. The preview ends on the shoulder throw the Ingram delivers. This is probably the best trailer so far, giving us a great idea of what the game's going to be about, the quality of the game, and basically everything we could expect. Still, we do have a handful of things that warrant some discussion. One thing I'd like to note is the look of the game and the environments. Case Files is in this mid-section where sometimes it looks nice graphically, but other times it's quite lacking. Some have described it as a PS2 or PS3 game, but to be honest, that's not quite accurate of a descriptor. It more feels like the unreal aspect of the game peeks out every now and then. Specifically in open spaces like the Reclaimed Land, with the city in the background sticking out a little. Sometimes the cities themselves can look a bit too clear and sterile. I think wide open semi-industrial environments are a bit of a weak point. However, on the other hand, you have moments like the Type 0 fight, this part with the Ingram on Reclaimed Land 18, and basically any clip that involves Okutama. I personally feel like the potential of this game is much higher. I'll also come back to this once I get to my general overview of Case Files.
Proto.
What?
Before you proceed,
Blade Wolf?
you are missing another video. On July 25th, the Good Smile channel uploaded its web commercial of Patlabor The Case Files. Your script has not yet been revised, and the information within this video is no longer up to date. In the latest web commercial, Good Smile presented a trailer featuring more gameplay of Patlabor The Case Files. The contents of the video open up with computer-generated cutscenes that reenact events from the television series and the animated feature films. Additionally, gameplay is presented where you play as the belligerents in the conflicts being depicted. A clip that is featured in the web commercial depicts the standoff in Reclaimed Land number 18. The user interface located to the left allows the player to remain aware of the damage their allies had sustained. The United States military robots, codenamed TRT-X66-IXTAL, can also be controlled by the player. The segment dedicated to the simulator mode would feature a checkpoint system. This checkpoint system is likely an optional toggle the player can choose to enable. The web commercial ends with numerous cutscenes. The final shot featuring the labels AV-98 Ingram, the Type J9 Griffin, and the AVX-0 Type 0. The Type 0 was evidently added to an already existing CG.
Wow, thanks, Blade Wolf.
Your audience must stay informed. You must be punctual.
Not too long after, we'd start getting these Dengeki Online articles where someone is playing the game early and is reviewing it. These articles were written by this guy named Shu, and the first one details things we do know already. The game will have voice acting and covers many events from the anime and movies. Toshio Furukawa would actually narrate the mission details before each one, he being Asuma's voice actor if you were in the know. Usually after that, we get a conversation between the characters, basically reenacting whatever event is going on before the gameplay. The article also notes that the Griffin is just uniquely powerful in this game, able to shrug off attacks from multiple assailants. The database is also noted to be in the game, full of CG models of the labors, along with character data and reference images. Probably a great resource for Patlabor fan artists, as funny as that sounds. Last but not least, there appears to be an idle screen which basically recreates the opening narration seen in most of the Patlabor shows. This first article also came with a variety of images, showing off all the character stills, along with the menus and settings. This is the main menu where you can select main mission, side missions, simulator, database, and end credits. The first three have what I can only assume to be difficulty selections, which include normal, hard, and Babel. What a great name. From the mission select screen, I can assume the following scenarios are available to be played. The Labor Tournament in Kanaka has come, Eve's Trap and Eve's Terror, Tragedy and Rain, the entire Castle Gate conflict, the Peacemaker mock battle, the Griffin vs. Peacemakers, Division 2's last stand at Maihama against the Griffin, the Rampage at the Helix 10, and the entire arc Excursion. Each mission also has mission-specific bonuses listed on the right and an overall ranking based on which difficulty you played on. Moving on to the database, you can see the stats for each labor based on certain things such as precision shooting, stealth, battle data measurement, and comprehensive training. To the right are the selectable labors you can analyze, and to the left are the top 3 in that category. The database also allows you to see 3D models of the labors in FreeCam, along with specifications and rough details about said labor. With that, that's basically the entire first article, ripe with information, with this just being the first one. The second article is more gameplay focused, detailing how the game feels and controls. Combat being focused around CQC involving punching, guarding, and dodging. You can also use the revolver cannon and stun baton, or whatever other weapon the labor could come equipped with. The article also makes sure to mention that there won't be any high-speed, tense combat filled with Gatling guns and missiles. It's down to earth as is the nature of Patlabor. Even then, it does mention that the Ingram has pretty big strides when it runs, being deceptively quick. Battery is also something to manage during gameplay. Actions using your battery and prompting you to find recovery items around the map. Flashy movements use more battery, making the player have to efficiently plan out their course of action. The revolver cannon itself is stated to be powerful yet limited to its signature 6 shots, though ammunition can be replenished with pickups the same way HP and battery can too. Alongside restating the Griffin's much higher mobility and power in comparison to the Ingram, it can perform simple combos with certain button combinations, making me wonder how in-depth the combat could be in this game. After each mission, you are graded on mission time, battery, remaining HP, and number of continues. You also have X bonuses based on completing other side objectives like collecting something on the map or defeating a certain enemy. And, as to be expected, you need to avoid causing property damage. It wouldn't be a Patlabor game without that, would it? Unfortunately, the operating expense tally system doesn't appear so far, so that's a little unfortunate. The third article discusses a lot more meticulous aspects about the game, such as the wear and tear the Ingram sees as you progress through the mission. The damage you receive is reflected onto your labor. Apparently, it's not just a scratched metal texture too. In their playtest, they mention that they've had their patrol lights shatter numerous times, making me wonder the extent of added detail in regard to damage in this game. Though it is still possible to make it through the entire thing spotless, as mentioned with the Griffin, the Type 0 also uses Manipulator and CQC, meaning that each labor could have its own specific playstyle quirks. This is also seen in how Unit 1 and Unit 2 hold their revolver cannons. Unit 1 holds it normally upright, while Unit 2 has a much broader, wider stance, reflective of the plotting styles between the two characters. The simulator mode startup is also the labor operating system startup sequence, so that's pretty cool. In some missions, the command car also leads the way, which can add to immersion. In general, you'll be able to visit many familiar locations, stated to be meticulously crafted just for fans. The last article is this interview with Masanori Sato of Good Smile, Case Files producer. In the article, it stated that this game came from a combination of Good Smile's familiarity with the Patlabor franchise through model kits, and his own personal interest in the series. He wanted to make the ideal Patlabor game for Patlabor fans to relive tons of key moments in the story. The members of Headgear also had direct input in this game, Ito supervising text and scripts, Akemi Takata managing the character illustrations on screen, Izubuchi supervising all the labors and cutscenes featuring labors. They also decided to try and emulate Kenji Kawai's instrumentation and composing style for this game's soundtrack. During development, they tried to emphasize the weight of labors while also upholding their sharp and dynamic movement seen on the screen. Each labor is also stated to be unique in feel based on their own specific merits, calling back to the revolver cannon stance. It also talks about animating things such as the revolver cannon equipment and storage, environmental damage that can dock points, and the simulator mode where you can fight computer enemies. It was asked if there would be online multiplayer between players, but there are no plans for it. I guess having servers for a game as small as this would be more trouble than it's worth. Then again, peer-to-peer connection is already a widespread method of hosting online play. I personally think online multiplayer is a missed opportunity. The article confirms that the team is still making adjustments to the game, as evident by the UI changing in the later trailers. As of right now, Case Files covers TV, the new files, and the first and second movie. Nothing in regards to the manga or Wasted 13. As for why side missions exist, they really wanted to play the Type 0 and the Hellhound. Playing against Section 2 is a potentially fun experience. As for why the White Griffin exists, I kid you not, they really just wanted to make a Player 2 Griffin. Also, interestingly enough, new material was recorded for the game, done by lots of the original cast members, leading me to wonder if there will be original content featured in Case Files. This next part is to be expected. When asked about the most difficult part of developing the game, it was about lighting and environments and maintaining a sense of realism. The last question is basically asking for a message to the fans, and he makes a corny joke about locking on to it. Here's what I was hinting at the beginning of this video. I think this interview was inspired by an email I sent to Chimeco on Saturday the 11th. I wrote up this whole interview with tons of questions and I got no response. However, literally a week later, this interview will be uploaded to the Dengeki Online website. These are some of the questions I asked, and these are some of the questions listed on this interview. You can call me crazy or egotistical, but I really feel like there has to be some kind of correlation here. A detail I intentionally neglected to mention was that while all the other articles were written by Shu, this one was uploaded by Dengeki Online themselves. Who is to say they didn't get my email and decided to make an interview later down the line? Maybe all this Patlabor fanboying is paying off. Hook me up with an early access copy. Just kidding, I doubt that would happen. With all that being said, here are my thoughts on Case Files. I think it has the makings to be a great game. I think it'll be a fine game. I'm definitely buying it as soon as I can, and may recommend it to other fans of Patlabor, but with what I've been given through these previews and trailers, I think it may not have been given the time to amount to a much greater experience. Here's the thing, I don't know how game dev works. I don't know how long this game has been in development for, or the actual legitimate scope of the project, but I can work off what we have seen. Visually, there are moments where the game looks off, but there are other moments where it looks great. You have things such as the UI change, the lighting update, things such as that tell me that there are some things that they decided to show us that weren't finalized. This game was announced back in March, around the same time as that trailer for File 1. They slated the game for summer of this year. I thought it was going to release maybe late this year or early next year, but announcing it only 5 months away from release is surprising. Even then though, this doesn't look like it's going to be a big game anyways. It's $40 and 15 gigabytes, while also releasing physically. A game like this nowadays is perfect, especially considering the age and demographic for Patlabor, which is top heavy anyways. It doesn't exactly need to be a AAA experience, but none of the previous games were like that either. While it's not a big game, nor does it present itself as anything more, I still can't but feel like it needs a bit more time. They obviously were still working out the lighting in the game, and because of how great it looks in certain sections, I think they intend for the whole game to consistently look like that. I also think there could be more missions since I think it covers only so many. We don't know how many there will be, but from what I can tell from the mission select and how far it goes, there may not be that many. I also wonder if they're intentionally hiding the Phantom from sight. We've only seen its beam cannon, and we know the only Phantom kit there is the old Bandai one. I hope it's not just hinted at. I've started to hold the belief that the game will compensate for the drawbacks with the amount of detail that'll go into the labors themselves and the missions in simulator mode. The fanservice route is probably the best way to go about it. People have been wanting a Patlabor game where they can just stomp around as one of their favorite labors. It's definitely going to deliver on that front. That part is also why I think a lack of online co-op or PvP is a missed opportunity. Patlabor has been a series where cooperation has been vital to every single problem the characters face. It'd be great to play missions where player 1 is Unit 1 and player 2 is Unit 2. I assume the one reason they haven't done multiplayer is because they'd have to balance the game accordingly, and from the sound of it, they want the player to actively indulge in the power fantasy of piloting a strong labor such as the Griffin. Maybe they don't have to do PvP, it can just be missions. Maybe they can make separate stats for PvP, though again, that's probably too much work for the type of game this is. I think the best course of action for this game are updates after it releases. I know it's a frowned upon practice in the gaming industry, but this is a Patlabor video game. I think it's fine in this scenario. Graphical updates, more labors, more missions, stuff like that. I'm not sure if other games Good Smile published have received updates post-launch, but Case Files would only benefit from it. I think it's a genuine possibility considering that this game is releasing while Patlabor Easy is still ongoing, and we've seen zero content referencing it. There's no way this is only a TV OVA and movies game. They would have just put a plus in the game and that would have been the easy promo. I think they could have more missions in store they're working on. Aside from hypotheticals, I am firm in my belief that the game will be fine. It will deliver on its promise of being a fun Patlabor game. The way some of the environments look are negligible to me. I thought it would just be better if I were to admit some of the concerning parts of the game we've seen. The details on how labors control, behave, the immersive damage to labors, and emphasis on a sincere experience during missions, all of that will probably make it the best Patlabor game to release. And while that isn't exactly a high bar, I think it says something given that Patlabor for the Super Famicom and Game Edition had similar ambitious elements. Good Smile, Chimeco, Headgear, you gotta know I exist. I played the other Patlabor games, I'm coming for this one too. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, follow me on my socials, and I'll be seeing you.
Proto,
Again?
you have yet to make an amendment to your script.
What is it this time?
The Amazon release date for Patlabor The Case Files is effectively outdated. According to the PlayStation Store's website, the game is set to release on September 16th.
Well, why does it say it'll be released on August 31st then?
You have likely mistaken the end of the pre-order listing period for a legitimate release date. The date you believe to be the release date may in actuality be the date buyers receive the White Griffin.
So, if we have the date and price, then why isn't the Steam page updated?
Japanese game developers have a preference for developing games for consoles rather than computers. One could assume they intend to update the Steam page once the game officially releases in September. In the Good Smile Fest livestream event, The hosts operate under the assumption that one can simply reserve a copy of the game just by putting it on their wish list. With all this information in mind, it does not seem like you will be able to pre-order the game using Steam. Images featured on the Steam page are also outdated, specifically screenshots of gameplay with the now outdated user interface. In comparison to the console release of the game, the Steam release for the case files is somewhat neglected.
Well, that sucks. There's a whole digital deluxe edition that lets you play early too. Guess we won't be getting that.
If it is true that the Good Smile Company read your email and is aware of your presence, maybe you should make an attempt to contact them and request for early access privileges.
Yeah, as if they would listen to me.
As they say, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take.
Well, I guess it's worth a shot. I'll go ahead and try my luck then. Check back with you all later if I get results. Once more, I'll be seeing ya.